Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's a little before 2 a.m. on this now Tuesday. And welcome to this new edition of Topics on My Mind podcast, YouTube edition, and maybe down the line, once again, SoundCloud edition, but we'll see in time. But right now, YouTube edition, YouTube audio edition, that is. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, it's been quite a while. It's been quite a few days, as you probably have watched on my video. I was out of town, actually out of state, for a few days. The reason being is because my grandma on my dad's side had passed away, so me and my sisters went out to Kansas to pay our respects. And this is going to be the first topic I want to talk about here, because this is something that I think. Obviously, a lot of people, if you've taken a flight and all that, really, just really kind of like question sometimes with the routes they take. You know what I mean? For example, well, how do I put this? When the day we left. The day we left for Kansas, actually for the Kansas City International Airport, the day we left for the Kansas City International Airport, we got delayed. Because surprisingly and ironically, the President Obama, had just happened to fly into San Francisco that day for a California trip. So, because Air Force One was in the air, and of course we had some fog, me and my sister's flight to Kansas City got delayed for 2 hours straight. Yeah. Originally we were supposed to leave, I think, on a 3:30 or 4 o'clock flight or something like that. And we didn't get in the air, ladies and gentlemen. We did not get in the air until about 5:25, or at least a little after 5:30. We didn't get in the air until after that. We were supposed to leave at 3:30. We didn't get in the air until 5:30. Yeah, all thanks to that. And then we didn't get into San Diego until about an hour after originally we were supposed to go in. Yeah, because San Diego was our first stop. And then we went from San Diego to KCI. Didn't get into that till a little after midnight, and we all said basically, screw it, we're just going to stay in Kansas City for the night. But then, you talk about some people trying to take you for money. It seems Avis needs to teach some of the rookies some manners, because apparently it's almost 3 in the morning. We gotten in late. We had to wait for our luggage. And then we take a bus to the rental car place. We get to the rental car place. And nobody's at the Alamo rental car dealership. Nobody's there. Nobody is at the rental car dealership for Alamo. So my sisters tried to get some information from the Avis people, and this one new Avis person apparently tries to get them to rent a car for triple what my older sister was renting this one car from Alamo for. So anyway, what happens, thank God, is that we see a family go outside as soon as they get there. So my older sister follows them, asked them, if they rented from Alamo. They said they did. And they said, well, how do you get a car? And they said, you just pick it up and they take care of it as soon as you exit. So basically, we just had to go outside as soon as we got there. And this is all this Avis lady had to do, rookie or not. All she had to do was say, oh yeah, just go outside. Your car should be, all you have to do is go outside and pick out a car. She didn't do that. She was trying to get commission. Now, I know you're thinking, well, sometimes that's their job. I get that. My job sometimes has us basically all the time, not all the time, well, not all the time, but when necessary, especially when the big shots are there, has us basically asking people, would you like to put that on a credit card, on our store credit card, or would you like to apply for our store credit card? So yeah, I know what that's like, but still, it's almost 3 a.m. in the morning. We want to get to sleep. And so basically we end up finally figuring it out, or at least my older sister did, and we end up staying at a place called the Plaza Hotel, which even though the receptionist that late at night was kind and understanding and knocked off about $20, the room itself could have had improvement. Yes, it was big. Yes, it was a big enough room. Yes, it had a big enough walkway into the bathroom. Could have had its sink and where you can hang clothes and stuff like that. But the water pressure there was not good, apparently. Because one of my sisters, according to what I heard, was trying to take a shower, and the shower was going like, like that. So, anyway, long story short, there was only 2 beds. They did not rent out cots, which was kind of crazy. So I ended up sleeping on sort of a chair with a footstool. So I laid down on that, and that worked out for the night. And yeah. So yeah, we stayed there for that night. Left. Got up, got some of the breakfast that they had there, even though they could have been more courteous and had enough for everybody. But it was still a good breakfast. It was decent. Probably not the best free continental breakfast, but what are you going to do? So we leave there, and thanks to Google and T-Mobile, which I guess is still a good service for some, but thanks to some of their internet services being knocked out when you get into certain areas of the Midwest, if you will, we ended up getting lost for a couple of hours. Yeah. And honestly, I didn't help much because even though I knew where we were, I couldn't remember exactly what direction to go in. But something told me as soon as we passed the Chiefs training ground, we might be going in the wrong direction, but I wasn't sure. All I thought was maybe they had added that there. So, long story short, we ended up going 80 miles out of our way. So we had to go 80 miles or less back in the direction we were supposed to go. And we end up using the GPS system from AT&T, not the Google one, but the AT&T GPS system, which T-Mobile had that. Hope maybe they do. But maybe it costs more. I don't know. But we ended up using the AT&T GPS system, and that got us to our destination. We had to change plans. Basically, we had to go to the funeral home first. We had to go to the funeral home first, and basically pay our respects, and then we headed to Lawrence to stay at our hotel. So, long story short, the first day or 2 days was quite the adventure. Me and my sisters went out after that for a couple of drinks, a little bit of a after midnight birthday shots and all that, and karaoke. Then the next day, we got up, got ourselves ready, went to the funeral to pay our respects, and then went out and had dinner with my dad afterwards. Then went back to the hotel. Then on Saturday, we went out again, waited for my dad for a little while. He finally called and said he would meet us down in wherever we're going to be. So me and my sisters, we ended up going to what is known as Massachusetts Street or downtown Mass Street in Lawrence, walking around there, shopped a little bit, got some cupcakes, sort of like birthday cupcakes, because they couldn't really get me a cake at the time. But yeah, we ended up doing that. We met up with my dad. We went to a place called Dempsey's, had some dinner, lunch, whatever you want to call it. Well, dinner mainly. So they serve real good food. And we went from there we went our separate ways. My dad went back to Oskaloosa to meet up with a friend of his and hang out there. And me and my sisters ended up going back to Wayne and Larry's for a few drinks, and then to the Royal Crest Lanes to bowl. And then we just went back to the hotel. So that was it. And then Sunday we met up with my dad one last time to have breakfast, lunch, and then we headed off to the airport. So that was it. It was a nice visit, even though it was unexpected. And but yeah. And speaking of the airport, once again, the airline needs to really get themselves in check. Because get this. Our flight, instead of heading maybe straight to Denver or maybe back to San Diego or even to Phoenix, our flight had us be routed to Milwaukee for the first stop. And then, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then transfer from there to the airline to San Francisco. Yeah. And we had looked online, and apparently there were other flights that we could have taken out that could have landed us in Phoenix, San Diego, or LAX, Los Angeles International, but didn't. Instead, we ended up going up to Milwaukee and then to San Francisco. Why? Because the plane that was heading to Milwaukee was going to continue on to LaGuardia International Airport in New York City. So yeah, didn't really help there. I mean, in fact, one of my sisters was even my older sister, who had the tickets, was even shocked by that. She couldn't believe that. We were going to be heading to Milwaukee instead of like maybe Denver or Phoenix or Houston or Los Angeles. So, but yeah, it was quite a trip. We got in about a little after 10:50, mainly around 11, and finally got back to our destination, Patterson, California, a little after 12. Basically a half hour after 12, going on to 1. So yeah, really interesting trip, if you know what I mean. Really interesting trip. But yeah, the airlines really need to get their act together. And here's what's funny. Okay, just checking the battery life on this. Yeah, but here's what's funny. Today, or now yesterday, the news comes on, CBS News, Evening News, the CBS Evening News. It comes on, and basically, one of its featured stories is about Southwest being fined by the FDA for safety regulations. Even though the flights we were on, the 4 flights we were on were okay, they were being cited with a $12 million fine for safety regulations. It's kind of nuts, right? But like my mom said, God had his hands on all 3 of us on the way back and on the way home. I mean, on the way there and on the way back home. It's crazy. Really crazy. But anyway, yeah, that's the first topic I want to talk about. First topic. Next topic I want to talk about here. But and maybe you guys can give me a reply on if you guys have had any experiences like that too with flights. But anyway, next topic I want to talk about here is wrestling. We had two major stories coming out for wrestling this week. Last night on Raw, we had the announcement finally, officially, that one of the featured matches, believe it or not, will be a Divas match, and it's going to be Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon. And the newsworthy item out of this is that the Brie Bella Stephanie McMahon segment closed out the show. That's right. For the first time in 10 years, nearly 10 years, the Divas, or at least two WWE women superstars, closed out the show in the main event segment. Kind of shows you the importance of this rivalry and feud that's basically all about Daniel Bryan versus the Authority. And I thought this was pretty good. I thought this was pretty damn decent. I thought it was good. And I'm not going to be surprised if it leads to a stipulation to where if Stephanie... Because I've been thinking about this. I believe they're going to add a stipulation. Maybe, maybe not. But it's going to be a stipulation in the contract to where if Stephanie loses, she has to come out and admit that Brie Bella... not admit Brie Bella, but... that if Brie Bella beats Stephanie McMahon at SummerSlam, that Stephanie McMahon has to admit that her husband is not as good as Daniel Bryan. Or in other words, that Daniel Bryan beat her husband fair and square at WrestleMania, that he's the better wrestler, and that this whole thing was out of this whole attitude that she had towards the Bellas, especially Brie, was out of anger, jealousy, and I can't pronounce it right now. Vindictiveness, and anger at the fact that her husband lost to Daniel Bryan. That this is all part of her hatred and anger towards Daniel Bryan for beating her husband at WrestleMania. So I'm not going to be surprised if they go in that direction with a stipulation like that, maybe. Not saying they will, but if they really want to put... I'm not saying they will, but if they really want to put this Authority storyline to rest soon, because it's got to end soon, folks. It can't keep going on forever. It cannot keep going on till WrestleMania 31 in Santa Clara. It's got to end now. So to me, I think they're going to add a stipulation similar to that. And if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I know one of the major stories coming out of, one of the major inside stories surrounding this is the fact that WWE is thinking of doing two things. One, they're thinking of using the recent real-life burglary or robbery or attempted robbery of Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella's house as part of the storyline and set it up to where the Authority had someone try to break in. And the other option is to turn Nikki Bella heel and basically side with the Authority against her sister and kind of go after her sister for all the punishment she had to endure. Those could be two options, and they could be heading in both directions. And they could be heading in both those directions, I should say. Now, speaking of wrestling, news came out this weekend, or at least yesterday and going into today, that Spike TV apparently, according to rumors and news articles, apparently is not going to be renewing the contract with TNA Wrestling. Now, does this mean TNA Wrestling is going to die? Excuse me. Does this mean TNA Wrestling is history? Nope. Nope, it does not. I know there's a lot of people that feel TNA is finally getting what it deserves. But it's like one person pointed out on the TNAnews.com site, TNA has at least a few months to probably get another network or at least renegotiate with Spike TV to stay on their network for the time being. And that's true, they do. And there's another option. there's another option. It's called YouTube. Here, let me explain. TNA, like any other person or company, has a deal with Spike TV. Not Spike TV, but with YouTube, with Google. So if they can't get a TV deal with Spike TV done, or get a new TV network, they can always run shows on YouTube. And because they do that with Explosion. They do that with their Explosion matches. They can sure as hell do it with their Impact matches. And here's what could happen. Here's what they could do. If they want to charge, they could charge maybe $1.99, maybe $2 for the 2 hours, and that's it. Or they could do it for free and just charge for the pay-per-views. See what I'm saying? And here's the positive about that for TNA. If they have to go in that kind of a direction, it helps them out, because a lot of people visit YouTube. They visit that site. They go to it, they watch it, and they enjoy it. A lot of people, actually montage with YouTube and make money off the videos. So TNA could do the same thing. They can do it. It'll be a lot better than going back to the weekly pay-per-views, which nobody will really buy. All right, because they're not going to spend $10 a month, or $10 or $12, not a month, but a week. Unless you say, okay, for a whole week, we'll put a package together that for a whole month, all you have to do is pay $10 or $5 for a whole month. And that's my dog. I don't think you could hear that. My dog's just stretching out. Move the cans here, the soda cans I have, empty ones, with her feet. But anyway, what I'm saying is that TNA can do that. They can go in that direction. It's the best alternative, the best option they have right now. And like I said, they can make a decision to either charge for it or just show it for free. I mean, look at Family Wrestling Entertainment, FWE. They're showing, apparently, from what last time I saw, they were showing some of their IPPs or IPPVs, internet pay-per-views, for free on YouTube. They were doing that. They had actually waited for a little bit, then started showing some of those shows on YouTube. That's what TNA can do on a weekly basis with Spike, with Impact. Every Thursday, or even after midnight on a Wednesday, they could start uploading Impact Wrestling onto the YouTube channel. They can do that. And that would help out. And that would get the attention of the fans. Fans would still watch it. And, let's say a fan has to go somewhere, they could stop it. And the way YouTube is, you go back to the video, it'll start back up where it left off. And they could still montage off it with as many commercials as they need to put in, just like a regular episode of Impact. I think it's the best option for them to go in, best direction for them to go in, if they can't get a deal with a new network or renegotiate with Spike. I just feel that's the best direction they got. And it will still help their company. It still will. Now here's the thing. If they do not go in that direction, and they still want to negotiate with other networks before their contract's officially expired, they could still try to work things out with Spike TV and agree to Spike TV's terms, and as much as they hate to do it, release Vince Russo once and for all. Or two, they can go to an alternative network. Now you might say, what network would take them? Well, there's some networks that would take them, like the Esquire network could take them. Speed Channel could take them. Fox Sports 1 could take them. You see what I'm saying? I mean, look, Fox Sports got UFC. I think it would benefit TNA if they could work something out with Fox Sports and go on Fox Sports 1. That would probably be the best alternative they got. And then, like I said, you got the Esquire network. You got Esquire network. You got Speed Channel. You got all these alternatives. And a lot of them are international. A lot of them are worldwide, national, international. You got all these alternatives. I mean, heck, you could even negotiate with WGN America, even though some, like apparently me out here in Patterson, don't get WGN America. you could still negotiate with them. And at the same time, you could still use the idea of saying, hey, if some people don't get things like WGN or Speed Channel or Esquire, TNA could still broadcast the shows on YouTube for free. They could do that, and they know they can. They can't, you can't tell me that TNA doesn't know they can't do that, because they can, and that's the truth. TNA knows they can. So, to me, that's the best alternative. Those are the best options TNA has. And those are the networks that I believe TNA needs to talk to if they can't get something going with Spike again. In closing, there's something else I want to talk about. Recently, I got some DVDs from Frank Hill. It's Frank here on YouTube. And I thank you, Frank, for those DVDs and books. Here's what really bugs me. Now, I can understand Disney movie exclusives, Disney Movie Club exclusives, Disney Movie Club doing this. But to me, it's just ridiculous. All right? It's just ridiculous. I mean, you have stores still selling the DVD box sets. You have the stores even, I guess, changing the DVD cases and making it easier for people to buy them, to have more, buy these DVD sets and have more space. But what gets me is if a company like Disney knows that these shows are still being, that the first few volumes of these shows are still being sold in stores, then why can't they sell the rest in stores instead of on their movie club site? I don't understand that. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I know what some of you are thinking and saying. You're thinking and saying, well, they know apparently it's not going to probably sell as well, and that it's easier to sell here because you can only get it here. And that is true, but let me explain something. There are people that buy it from Disney Movie Club and then sell it on Amazon. Then they sell it on Amazon for a lot more. Get what I'm saying? So to me, I think Disney and some other studios, but mostly Disney, needs to renegotiate what they're doing. They need to say, you know what? Our sets are still being sold out there. Maybe we need to give this another try. I'll tell you this: when I was working at Walmart a few weeks ago, or about a week ago or so, a father was shopping in the electronics aisle with his daughter. And he pointed out Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. And said he used to watch it as a kid as well. And basically pointed out that this might be something you'll like. So to me, I think Disney needs to start thinking, hey, they still sell well in a sense. Maybe we should just make them retail value as well. I'm just saying, it'd be easier on them. And they can still make a profit. But still, that's just my opinion on it. I mean, I can understand, again, because it's like Zara Nizarak told me in a response video, that when companies do this kind of stuff, it's easy to do, it's cheaper to do, because they know that retail-wise, it's not going to sell as much. So it's not going to sell as much, and they're not going to make much money off of it. So why go in that direction? Instead, let's go in a direction that's cheaper and more affordable, and allows people to still get what they want. And that might be true. I mean, like with movies on demand, it's like all you have to do is just order the DVD of the movie. The people at Warner Archive or Universal Archive or Disney or whatever, they make the movie on the spot. They send it to the retailer, online retailer they're working with. There you go. But to me, I think honestly, companies like Disney, mostly the Disney Movie Club, they need to renegotiate this. They need to rethink this because there's still a market. There's still a market out there. There still is. I mean, if there wasn't a market out there, then why are they still releasing things like some of the Phineas and Ferb volumes or special DVDs? Why are they still selling those? Get my drift? So I think they really need to reconsider what they're doing. They really need to basically say, okay, let's give it one more shot. And that's about it. And one other topic, I know I said this was the last one, but I do have one other topic I want to talk about. It's very short. If you're a Power Rangers fan, then I got some good news for you. According to TV shows on DVD.com, Brian Ward, Shout Factory's Brian Ward, at Comic-Con announced that the Super Sentai series that was translated back in 1993 here in the U.S. as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, was translated into an American version known as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That Super Sentai series, the original Japanese Super Sentai series, will be released on DVD. That's right. The original Japanese series that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers sprung from will be released on DVD finally. And from what the details are, from what I can understand, it'll be just like the Transformers Japanese collection. It'll be the original Japanese audio with English subtitles. And that's it. So if you're a Power Rangers fan, that's real good news. Because I'll tell you this, being a Transformers fan, when I finally found out that the original Japanese trilogy was coming out, I went right for it. I bought them, and I have them. So if I'm a Power Rangers fan, and I hear about this, I would definitely grab it, folks. I definitely would. So, honestly, I think Shout Factory's on a roll here. And that's all I'm going to say with this a new edition of Topics on My Mind YouTube audio podcast. And hopefully someday down the line, once again, SoundCloud podcast. That's all I'm going to say, folks. Let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like. And I am out. Peace and God bless.